The New Orleans Saints received some good news and some bad news regarding their search for a new offensive coordinator. Let's jump right into it on the Straight Up Saints podcast.
You're listening to the Straight Up Saints podcast.
What is up, Who Dat Nation? Welcome back inside the Straight Up Saints podcast. I'm your host, Chris Rosevoglu. On this Monday, let's call it afternoon, we got some good and bad news regarding the Saints search for a new OC. Obviously, they're looking to replace Pete Carmichael for the first time in a long time. And let's start off with let's call it bad news for the Saints. And that's one of the candidates that they were interested in speaking with. He is no longer an option for them, and that is Shane Waldron, former Seahawks offensive coordinator. He comes from the Rams. He was a pass game coordinator for them before taking his talents to Seattle. He is reportedly going to become the new offensive coordinator of the Bears, which makes a lot of sense, right? The Bears added some talent last offseason, acquiring DJ Moore. Obviously, they have a steady tight end in Cole Kmet. You also feel like you can add a really good quarterback in Caleb Williams if that's what you choose to do with the number one pick, or you could build around Justin Fields, maybe get a guy like Marvin Harrison. The options are kind of endless there for the Bears job, and I do think that if you're a coordinator like Shane Waldron who feels like I'm looking for that great quarterback to pair myself with, and maybe that lets me leverage my way into a head coaching job, then I guess, it makes a ton of sense for him to go to Chicago. So he's off the boards as of right now for New Orleans. There's still other options out there. Obviously, we talked about it before. And I think one of them you'll look at is obviously you'll look at a guy like Zach Robinson from the Rams. And I still think he's a very interesting, I would say, prospect for the Saints offensive coordinator search. Obviously, Dan Pitcher from the Bengals, who's also their QB coach. And that's a guy who, after seeing what he did this year when Joe Burrow goes down and being able to work with Jake Browning, that makes him intriguing. But that's not all for the Saints search. We got a new name to add to the fold, and it's one that makes a hell of a lot of sense and one that would make me really intrigued by the Saints offense, and that's Jerrod Johnson, the quarterback's coach of the Houston Texans. Jerrod's a former quarterback for Texas A&M. He's got a pretty good history so far of what he's done in the NFL. He worked a little bit with the Niners, worked with the Colts, then works his way with the Vikings, which last year we all saw Minnesota was a very good offensive team, and then goes to Houston as their quarterback's coach. And look, does a lot of credit go to the culture D'Amico built? Absolutely. Does a lot of credit go to C.J. Stroud being a potential packed, really, really good quarterback already? Yes, but you also got to give credit to the coach who's helped mature and develop that quarterback in his rookie season to being something that C.J. Stroud has shown us, which is a guy that looks to be a franchise game-changing quarterback. So Jerrod Johnson is going to have a virtual interview with the Saints. It's worth noting that he's also going to interview with the Browns for their OC opening. And this isn't me just trying to dunk on the Saints. I think the Saints actually have interviewed a lot of good names so far, and I've been really, really pleased with the candidates they're considering. Jerrod Johnson, if he gets offered both jobs, hypothetically speaking, I kind of think the Cleveland job is a little bit more attractive. You have a team that is obviously a playoff caliber franchise. We just saw this past season. And you feel like if you could have a good season with the Browns and help Deshaun Watson get back to what Deshaun Watson used to be, it's all about finding that job that's going to help you get to that next position, which in Jerrod's mind, if you go from QB coach to OC, what's the next jump? OC to head coach. So I think that will make a lot of sense. But I think there's also a lot of intrigue with the Saints, right? I think a lot of fans are going to look at this Saints job and think, who wants to work with Dennis Allen? Why would you want to do that? Fair. My other thing would be if you're the guy to fix the Saints offense, if you're the guy to fix Dennis Allen's streak of not making the playoffs and actually getting in, that's something you put at the top of your resume and say, you want to hire me? If you this is why you should, and put it right there. So I see both arguments. Either way, though, I am definitely pleased when the Saints are going out of their way to speak with a guy like Jerrod Johnson, who I think is a very intriguing candidate. Does it mean he'll get the job? Absolutely not. But it's good to see that they're interested in young, bright offensive minds like a Jerrod Johnson, because we just saw what Houston did. This is a team that had zero expectations this coming season going into it, and they end up in the divisional round, and that's a hell of a year for them. So Jerrod Johnson, I think that's an intriguing candidate for the New Orleans Saints.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs, is bringing you an offer that'll help make the playoffs electrifying. New customers can bet $5 on any game and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code BOOT. New customers can bet just $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code BOOT. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms.
Once again, thank you to DraftKings. So let me know what you guys think about the Saints offensive coordinator search. Do you like Jerrod Johnson as a potential candidate? Do you feel like maybe they missed their window with a guy like Shane Waldron who's going to Chicago? Is there someone out there that they haven't spoken to yet that you believe would be a good candidate? Put in the comment section below and I'll get back to you. But that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the Straight Up Saints podcast. And we'll be back later this week. So make sure to subscribe to Boo Crew Media's YouTube page and stay tuned for more from the destination for the Who Dat